What are the Yu-Gi-Oh meta decks post the North American World Championship qualifiers? Big dogs, Yu-Gi-Oh has been different these past couple of weeks. And if the North American World Championship qualifier hasn't convinced you, wisdom is fast. But my friend, you are faster. Today, big dogs, we are going to reevaluate on what are the best decks in Yu-Gi-Oh right now and talk about the strategies that are the easiest ways to secure W's or, oh no, what are you doing, baby? You ain't heard that one in a while. Let's go ahead and jump on in. What's going on with y'all, big dogs? And it is an amazing day for Yu-Gi-Oh! I hope that your day phenomenal. But if it isn't, don't let what happened at the beginning of your day ruin the rest of your day. So the meta tier list post the North American World Championship qualifiers. It's going to be interesting. Today, we're going to be ranking these decks based on how powerful they are and being able to compete at the highest level. And seeing that we're towards the end of the format, this is technically a reflection, though there are a ton of Yu-Gi-Oh strategies from both Duelist Advance and Battles of Legends Monsters Mayhem that have made a huge impact on the meta. So of course, big dogs, we're going to give the props where the props are due, and I'm also going to give you my thoughts on these particular strategies with the upcoming ban list and what are their chances of surviving. If you guys think that I missed a particular Yu-Gi-Oh strategy, go ahead and let me know down below in the comment section. I'll try to include it on the next ban list. Let's go ahead and start off with Maliss. Now, big dogs, you guys should already know I am one of the biggest copers in the universe, because you guys have convinced me that there is a world where that ban list that I talked about last week is completely true. And Konami actually did push back the release date. I know, man. I know. Regardless, Maliss is towards the end of its life cycle, though it is a linked-based Yu-Gi-Oh deck. I would put it in meta contention, but if we're being 100% honest, Maliss is probably the 4th best deck in Yu-Gi-Oh. That's right, big dogs. It's not 1, it's not 2, it's not 3, it's probably 4, and I'll explain why. Maliss has been one of the most represented Yu-Gi-Oh decks this entire year. Some of the best players in the world have been piloting Maliss, and the strategy still doesn't have the hardware that it should for the amount of effort that Yu-Gi-Oh players have put into it. Now, I know the Maliss gooners are going to hate me for this statement, but it's statistically true. So while I will agree Maliss is one of the best Yu-Gi-Oh decks in the game, and it's a very competitive strategy all the way to the highest level events, it is a Yu-Gi-Oh strategy that has consistently failed at the highest level and let other rogue Yu-Gi-Oh decks eat its food. The Memento YCS, the Fire King YCS, and now, of course, the Orcust Nationals. Those are 3 Maliss wins that were taken from them. Let me know down below in the comment section if you guys think that is a fair assessment of Maliss. I think that it's a deck that is slounging but still holds its status. And while I have your attention, big dogs, let me hook you up on some of the best sleeves in the universe so you can protect your top Yu-Gi-Oh deck. Raven Wing version 3 is on its last leg. These are the last ones I have available. So if you guys want to support the channel and get the #1 sleeve in the entire world, go ahead and head yourself to TheCaliEffect.com and purchase your sleeves today. I can't wait to see you get your Raven Wings. We also have other accessories like mats, so go ahead and check them out. I've actually been brewing in the lab a couple of designs that I know you're going to love to see. Moving on to Blue Eyes White Dragon. Almost everybody's favorite meta deck, unless you're a Dark Magician player. Dark Magician! I found you! Blue Eyes is incredible. It's simply strong and it's represented, but it doesn't have the accolades either. I would put Blue Eyes under the top contender because there's nothing really unfair about Blue Eyes. The fortunate thing is that it's almost never going to get hit on the ban list ever again in its life. It's way too fair, it's way too balanced, there's way too many counters for the deck. But if you ask me, Blue Eyes is what top tier Yu-Gi-Oh decks should be like at their ceiling. Yu-Gi-Oh strategies that are actually counterable through specific cards, but also through optimal gameplay. It's a strategy that can do really well with the correct pilot, but other Yu-Gi-Oh players can exploit those weaknesses if you're not, which is almost a complete contrast when we talk about Mitsurugi and Mitsurugi variants. Mitsurugi is probably the best meta deck. I want you guys to flip the script every time you see a Ryzeal Mitsurugi deck and just picture it as a Mitsurugi deck, because there have been other successful Ryzeal decks, but none of them are nowhere near good as Mitsurugi. And the reason why is because the engine is busted. I'm convinced at this point in time that Mitsurugi can make any Yu-Gi-Oh strategy top because it's that good. a ritual spell that lets you ritual summon or use materials from the deck, a monster that can wipe all of your opponent's monsters during either player's turn, by the way, and then also forces them to lose resources to activate cards. And then to top it off, it's a 1-card ritual deck. What are we doing here? I really do think the Mitsurugi cards, their recovery, the ability to be able to come back and blow your opponent's board away is way stronger than the Ryzeal counterpart. But let me know what you think. Crystron is a top Yu-Gi-Oh strategy in both Master Duel and the TCG. If you're playing either or, they pretty much translate, easily a top contender. Another one of those fair Yu-Gi-Oh strategies like Blue Eyes that rewards you for knowing how to play the deck. One thing I've noticed about Crystron players is that as of recent, they're starting to run the Millennium engine to help them play around Droll and Lockbird. Y'all seen the Crystron god actually said it best on his video. If you get Droll and Lockbird while going through your Millennium engine, well, Crystron Smiter then activates its other effects and you're cooking. The deck is crazy strong. I like the way that operates, and I'm actually really intrigued about an RB Crystron build, or maybe even a K9 RB Crystron build in the future. I would put Fire Kings in the takes a good pilot category. In no way, shape, or form is this deck bad. It just gets cooked by Droll and Lockbird. And since you don't have the resources to play around Droll and Lockbird, and you have to play cards like Pot of Extravagance because you don't have enough starters, you're in a really uncomfortable spot. A strategy that we have not seen enough of in the TCG, which, let me rewind, a strategy that I've actually seen enough of my entire lifetime. I'd be okay if this deck never became competitive again. But for the people that actually want to play it, this deck is pretty good. I'm gonna put it in competes. It doesn't have the accolades right now, but a going second Sky Striker deck is probably one of the better going second Yu-Gi-Oh decks. The new support Engage 0 gives a lot more viability to the deck. The new spell card can be activated even when you do have Sky Striker monsters in your main monster zone, and the deck is still getting more support. I personally think if Hornet Drones does come off the ban list, this deck is actually crazy strong. Burning Abyss, on the other hand, did get a few new cards for support and can now play Fiendsmith. But if we're being honest, I think this is our very first, oh no, what are you doing, baby? Burning Abyss getting Bui the Dawn's Light and Mutiny in the Sky are crazy strong cards. But ironically, there are better Yu-Gi-Oh strategies that get both of those cards. I think that those TCG exclusives are actually incredibly underexplored and are genuinely insane Yu-Gi-Oh cards. But if I'm being real with you, until Burning Abyss gets more support to keep it up with the times, it's not gonna be as strong for me. Onomat Ryzeal has taken 2 of the top spots in the North American World Championship qualifier. This deck hinges on my ban list being wrong, because if Dual Drive gets banned, this deck is almost unplayable. But for right now, I think it's still a solid top contender. Not the best version of Ryzeal, because you're not playing the best cards, but still a really solid version that is Exceed focused. I'm not gonna lie with you guys, I genuinely think Memento should be right here, but it's another one of those strategies that are incredibly complicated to play, but so rewarding when you play them correctly. If it were genuinely up to me, these bottom row of Yu-Gi-Oh strategies would be the best of the best. These 3. I don't really know what to say about you right now. They do have some unfair moments and sometimes some unfair cards, but that's through skill. Mermail, on the other hand, has some pretty skillless combos, like summoning the water barrier statue. I think Mermail is easily a strategy that competes. If I remember correctly, it did top the North American World Championship qualifier. The only thing is that I could never believe this deck getting very far at major tournaments. It's a solid Yu-Gi-Oh strategy, could be slightly gimmicky, but unless it's in the finals against Maliss, I'm not counting on it. Tenpai Dragon, brother. You guys remember this deck? This deck used to be crazy strong. Then the ban list happened. It's oh no, what are you doing, baby? I'm a believer in Tenpai Dragon as much as my 6th grade English teacher was a believer that I would be a famous content creator. YouTube didn't exist when I was in the 6th grade, at least not in this capacity. Yeah, big dog, go ahead and hang it up. It ain't working. RB. We got to see the Yu-Gi-Oh strategy compete at the North American World Championship qualifiers, and we got to see some interesting builds. There's an RB Cyber Dragon deck, RB Crystron, RB Earth Machines, baby. And I'm not gonna lie, I genuinely do like RB, but it's RB yourself in the corner right now. Currently, this deck isn't enough, but you guys seen the boom that happened with Mitsurugi. That deck initially wasn't the hotness, but then it took over. RB does have that type of potential. I think Yubel is one of those Yu-Gi-Oh strategies that takes a really good pilot. Dealing with the current meta like Ghost Bell, Droll, Molcharmies is a little bit harder, but I think one of the biggest reasons not to play Yubel is just simply we don't have Phantom of Yubel more than one. The moment that changes though, this deck becomes a lot more interesting. Live Twin also topped the North American World Championship qualifier, but I think it's closer to a strategy that competes than an actual top contender. It's a decently strong Yu-Gi-Oh strategy that does its job, but it doesn't have that factor to it. Snake Eyes. Yeah, bro, look, if the ban list that I said is coming out, this deck's dead, but to be honest with you, this deck's dead. The only Snake Eyes that I want to see is that when my opponent resolves Paradise and gets anything over 8. And speaking of such, there's Vanquish Soul with all of its new combos. I am so thankful that Vanquish Soul got support. I'm also even more thankful that the deck is one of the best. But I'm most thankful that this deck is still not consistent. Brother man, this deck is ridiculous. I am not gonna lie to you. It will soon be one of the best decks, if not the best deck in the entire game. Its time will come. Brother man, this deck has all of the potential to be that toxic Yu-Gi-Oh deck that nobody wants to deal with. I am so happy that players do not know how to play this deck correctly. It's ridiculous. Primite Bystial Fiendsmith is just like Live Twin. I think that it's okay enough to top, but that's pretty much where the rankings stop with this deck. A deck that's very engine-y, and I think its biggest reliance is going to be those cards out of Duelist Advance. When somebody cracks the code on those cards and figure out Primite as a complete engine, it might be a problem. Labrynth has all of the tools to be able to compete, and I think that's exactly where it stays, just at competes. Again, players are starting to play Ghost Spell a little bit more, so that's 6 copies of Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, but the new card, Trapaholic, makes me an alcoholic for good trap cards. It's a solid Yu-Gi-Oh card that allows you to be able to out your own cards like Transaction Rollback. It's a really good Yu-Gi-Oh deck, but I feel that it's missing another powerful normal trap card. Utopia as a pure deck. Why would you do that? Big dogs, until the Ryzeal cards stop existing, do not stop playing Utopic or Onomat Ryzeal. Don't. It's the best version of the deck, and that's why I'm putting it in Oh No, What Are You Doing, Baby? But I would probably put it in It Takes a Good Pilot if Ryzeal did not exist at the very lowest. Lunalight did get its 15 seconds to fame. Unfortunately, the only 15 seconds was one top spot at Nationals, but it was a top spot at Nationals. And not just any little top. It didn't get no 64. I don't even think it got 32. It got 16, which means it had to be 2 Yu-Gi-Oh decks. I think that the potential for this deck is through the roof. We know for a fact there's nothing that's going to get hit that's going to be relevant enough to prevent this deck from being playable. Orcust, my dog. It's been a crazy roller coaster with this deck. We said it was the best deck out of Battles of Legends Monster Mayhem. Then Gym Knights became a thing, which they're crazy strong too. Then it turns around and beats one of the best players in the world, playing the 4th best deck to my calculation, but 2nd best deck to you guys. By the way, the deck that you guys will call the 1st best deck didn't get a top 4, but I ain't saying nothing. And it's now a national champion Yu-Gi-Oh deck. I think it's time we stop the hate. It's meta. Definitely, in my opinion, better than Maliss, but who's counting? The deck is versatile, and it looks like players have figured out a modern formula to rely on when it comes to the strategy. Ryzeal Fiendsmith, in my opinion, is still good. I think it's still a contender and one of the best, but I would probably play the Onomat or the Mitsurugi version, which, no surprise, it's in here, before I play this version. Gym Knight, there's not a thing you guys can tell me. I'm gonna go ahead and relish here. This is where I would put Gym Knight, the 3rd best deck in Yu-Gi-Oh! The deck is crazy strong, amazing at going second, breaks boards like no other. Yo, watch your mouth when you're talking about the TheCaliEffect. Gym Knight has solidified itself in the meta, and I might make a video talking about why these are the best decks in the game. But to be honest, if I were to give my opinion, it'd probably be like 1, 2, 3, then I'd go 4, and then 5, one of these. I think that would be the new Yu-Gi-Oh meta that you guys should watch out for. Lastly, Cyber Dragon. People are playing Cyber Dragon RB, and before, Cyber Dragon was doing some pretty crazy things. We have a dual challenge with the deck, and it's pretty strong, so go ahead and check that out. I'm gonna put it in It Takes a Really Good Pilot. And that's all that we have for the meta tier list post the North American World Championship qualifiers. I think for Europe, there won't be Battles of Legends Monsters Mayhem, which sucks, because as you guys can see, there were 2 really impactful decks from that particular set. But go ahead and let me know down below in the comment section which you are most excited for the rest of this format. As always, big dogs, I hope you guys are having an amazing day. And be sure to check out these videos so I can catch you on the next one.